Time being 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order with a lot of feedback on our mics. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think the in-feed from your mics.
Pardon me?
The in-feed from your mics is too much. Whatever brings.
Can you look at it?
I don't know their machine, his machine.
Is it okay now? If I go anymore, I think it's going to be off.
It's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a phone. Okay, yep.
Okay. We need to look at the agenda, and I proposed a change in it to add number 4 to the discussion items to discuss the information
Facilities update?
on the old jail.
Yep,
Okay.
I move. Or is that a move?
That's a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Ooh, jeez. I don't even know it's still on. I've never had my phone out of here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Even though the minutes weren't in our packet, some of us read them, so if one of them that read them would like to make a motion to approve it, and then we can have them available later if that okay?
I've read them and I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it too.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our first appointment today is the Houston County Historical Society. Please come up to the table and introduce yourselves.
Good morning. I'd like to introduce our board members, Richard Cordes,
Morning,
Director and
Commissioners.
Treasurer, and Georgia Rosendahl from Spring Grove, Director, Dwayne St. Mary Caledonia, Director, and we have 2 more, but Paul is the Secretary, and Deborah Ray is our Vice President. We back again for our annual meeting. We're not asking for any more money than we have been asking for. We've had a very good year. We had, as you probably noticed in our newsletter, that we had visitors not only from the tri-state area, but 22 states and 6 foreign countries, and we actually had 55 Norwegians
Wow.
last summer from Norway, so that was quite an event. We're experiencing a lot more tours and tourism since we built our new facility. And you probably noticed in your papers last week of the great donation we just received again. Not only did we get a car from Audrey Elmo last November, but now we received a Model T from a fellow in Sparta that had bought it at an auction here in Caledonia, and it originally was sold in Caledonia, so it's quite a...
The Harvey Borger car?
Yeah.
That was a nice article.
It's a
Nice
beautiful
story.
car. It's in original condition. And we've gotten many nice, we're really getting some great donations into the society. We had some interesting events last year. We had our canoe group from St. Paul came and documented our dugout canoe, which dates it to about 1850. We wish it would have been older, but that's where it came out. So there will be further writings about that when we get the final report. And we have, of course, the fair coming up with it, and lots of events. We're putting up a lot of new displays, and Richard is going to talk about one here.
Yeah, well, one is going to be a little different this year, and invite you all to come out and see it. It's a timeline of the history of the Minnesota Vikings. And there are 5 beautiful cases that were actually built by the Minnesota Vikings, and they'll be on display there, and there's going to be room in each of them for memorabilia, and we're going to be putting out a plea to the people in the county, because some people have some very interesting and unique artifacts, jerseys and things like that, that we're going to ask them to share with the rest of the county, and we'll have them in those showcases. So if you can make it out there, check that out. Something a little bit different than what we used to. So.
how it all started was we need cabinets for our timeline, and these appeared from Blue Earth County.
Yep, Blue Earth County. Or in
And
Mankato.
they were for taking, so Richard and Dwayne went out and got them, and this display will not be up indefinitely. The cabinets will be covered, and we'll be using them for our timeline, so come and see them, they're interesting.
So how are you guys getting the word out to people? Do you want stuff by before the fair this
Well,
time, right?
I talked to a few of the newspapers in the county, and
Okay.
they are going to come out and interview on Friday, and
Okay.
hopefully we'll get it out in the next issue.
Awesome.
My-
That's great.
My hope is that we're going to have to turn stuff away.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What a
Should be a lot
great
of
draw.
fun.
Yeah, not only for the Historical Society, but for the fair itself.
Oh, yeah. I think
So
it
that's
should be a big
wonderful.
draw.
Some of our things we wanted to accomplish this coming year is we want to finish the basement, and so that eventually we probably won't have a book sale, and that'll probably become more display area, probably for some of the vehicles and things like that.
Mhm.
And we need to do a lot of work at Eisen, which is on the National Register. We haven't done work there for quite a while, and we're going to be needing some roofs. So we're working on raising money for that, and
That book sale is pretty successful though, isn't it? The book sale
pardon?
is very successful.
Yeah, we do over 6,000
Yeah.
usually, so. And this year, we had, our volunteer hours increased a lot. We were 6,600 hours of written down. I mean, we can, what do I want to say?
You could increase that quite a bit.
Yeah,
People that don't record their hours.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that, because a lot of the orders, a lot of the hours don't get recorded.
Does the volunteer hours, doesn't that go toward grants? You could help you get grants?
Yes, and it also helps us with the IRS. We have to justify our existence by our visitors and our work we're doing and the researchers. We continue to host a lot of researchers, not only on families, but events and things they're looking for in Houston County. We're really quite busy most of the time. And this last year, we started something new for our volunteers. We had a Valentine's party in appreciation of our volunteers, and that went over very well. They give a lot of time, and almost 70 people attended. It takes about 65 volunteers just to staff the buildings during the fair, so
Wow, that's a lot.
it's a lot of commitment, and we're so grateful for all our people that do commit, and to all our donors and our members, and we continue to get donations from several townships, and so we have a lot to do in that new building yet, and I want to live long enough to see it dedicated.
In the tourism thing, they have a lot of historical tours that are connected to different historical societies, so maybe that's something that we can work with you for connecting the Houston County one to other tours that are going on for that too.
It'd be interesting to hear
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Yep, and Courtney Berge's here today, and she's our EDA person, and she is spending time on tourism, and it might be a good benefit to you. I know that, what's her name, Ann?
Surely.
Right.
No, what's the name of the person? One of your people was at our
Deb.
meeting. Deb, yeah, Deb was at our meeting.
Yep.
And I just see all kinds of ways for it to grow.
Mhm. We have a lot on our plate this coming year, so we wanted to thank you for the continued support of Houston County and your always kind words, and we'd like you to come and visit us whenever you can, and we appreciate your continued support.
Well, I
Glad to do
think,
it.
I think we can speak as a board that we're just happy that you guys have all the volunteers and organize that and keep it going, because it benefits everyone in the county.
When we reorganized in 1960, we had $40 in a few artifacts.
Oh,
And now we have, our insurance appraisal on our new building now is almost $2 million. So.
wow.
And we raised over $1 million to build it, so Now we have a presence in Brownsville with the Church of the Holy Comforter, and also in Eitzen at the Christian Bungay Junior Store, and with the 8 buildings on the fairgrounds and the church and the dance downtown. It keeps us busy.
A lot of maintenance.
Yes, I can imagine there is.
We're trying to do things so they will become maintenance-free, like our new building has a 50-year guaranteed steel roof, so it's, we think that future boards will appreciate that.
Yeah, yep. That's wonderful.
Well, I guess I'm a kind of new guy on the block as far as the board of directors, but I'm really amazed of all the work that the other directors do and volunteer their time, and the other volunteers with the organization. I've been touring a lot of the different museums around the area, trying to get some ideas and things, and a lot of these museums now, they check the record and everything, they're paid employees. So I know Shirley, tons of hours that she puts in a month as a volunteer. And I'm really amazed at it. You know, like Georgina down here in the end, you know, she's there every Monday. And on weekends now, she comes and sits in there. And she's our girl.
I'm the senior.
Well, she's a senior, but she's a wealth of knowledge as far as the Norwegian heritage. So we go to her to get advice and information on that. But and all the other volunteers that take care of the Eitzen store and the Brownsville Church and everything, you know, these people work a lot and volunteer a lot. So I really commend them for that. I didn't know there was that much work, but I asked to be on the board.
Or you wouldn't be there?
Yeah, you know, I enjoy it.
There's a reason why you didn't know that.
I enjoy it. I kind of grew up with it with my father, and it's very interesting. I learn new things every week. One of them was, I don't know, this is a question for commissioners. Did you ever hear the name Oscar W. Streeter?
Not me.
Well, he was a famous person, really. He had traveled through and lived here in California for about 10 years or so. But he grew up in New York. Very colorful in some sad parts of his life. He was an orphan, and then his mother put him into indentured service, which is, might as well say, a slave to another family. So he decided to run away, but he always wanted to be an attorney. He got to Galena, Illinois, and some attorneys there kind of put him under their wing and nurtured him and everything, and he became an attorney. And then he went to start a law practice in B-Town, which is kind of like Freeburg here. It's just a little town by Cassville. He got married, and he started his political life as supporting and campaigning for the first governor of the state of Wisconsin, Dewey Nelson. And this guy got elected as governor. But he ended up coming across, he was kind of an adventurous person like that, the adventurer, and he ended up in Lansing as an attorney, started to practice there. When he was in Lansing, he came up to Brownsville, took the steamboat up there, and he liked that little town of Brownsville so much, he stayed up there all summer, built a cabin, and brought his family up. Now, he ended up being a friend of Samuel McPhail, which was the founder of Caledonia. So after so many years in Brownsville, he followed Samuel McPhail to Caledonia. And he actually, and I always thought Samuel McPhail, and maybe he did, came up with the name of Houston County because of his Texas, Samuel's worked down in Texas during the Army times, but I found Oscar's autobiography. He wrote a book in 1901. Being he was attorney here, he was the one that lobbied and submitted the name of Houston to the county commissioners to choose, which they did. He was here about 10 years, and he was appointed by President Buchanan to be the chief inspector of the census for the unoccupied territories. So he left his family here, headed west, and traveled through the Dakotas, Wyoming, everything, doing whatever he was supposed to do. He then moved to St. Paul, but while he was here too, Oscar was elected the first senator from the Houston County. And he also was the writer and signature on the Minnesota Homestead Act. And due to his bad life as a child, it says here, even he saved many a farmer on the Red River Valley system when they had to claim their land when it became a state of Minnesota. And that because it was scalpers and swaggers and everything trying to steal this land from, because really before it became a state, you're just a squatter. And he helped them claim their lands and everything else. And that was kind of his whole thing through his whole life, that he was helping other people, you know, the depressed, the people that were being taken advantage of. He ended up in St. Paul, or up in Superior, as he was a judge out there. And then he also was the attorney for the Attorney General's office for the federal government. And he was prosecuting people that were trying to steal land from the settlers that had land along the lakes. People were, companies and people with money were coming in trying to steal this land from him, so he was prosecuted. There's several Supreme Court cases where he had won, you know, through his hard work and everything. But he ended up dying in Superior, Wisconsin. But his book is very interesting. And he was brought back here, and he's buried, I'm sure, there's no record of where he's actually buried, but at that time period, and his daughter, his little girl, is buried in this cemetery down here in the South Street, the old Caledonia Cemetery. But there's no stone. I found his obituary. The Masonic Lodge here held a funeral rites, so it's, you know, buried out there. No stone, no monument, but this man's life was just fantastic.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just growing up and being an orphan, running away, you know. But he had a goal, you know, he did what he wanted.
He was also a poet, too.
And he was a poet. He wrote, in his book, there's several poems. One is Wildcat Bluff.
Yep.
He wrote a poem about
There's
that.
2 or 3 poems about Brownsville.
Wildcat Bluff, during the steamboat days, was a landmark that the people traveling up and down the river would use to tell where they were on the river. And he wrote a poem about that. He wrote a poem on Minnesota, and the guy had a colorful life. But
What was his name again?
Oscar W. Streeter.
Streeter. Okay, S-T-R-E-E-T-E-R?
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you want to, his autobiography is in the National Congress Library, and you can read it free online on Amazon Books or whatever.
Oh, really?
And we do have the book down here but you never think of somebody with that stature
No.
live here in Caledonia, probably not far from this building, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Fascinating.
Thanks for sharing,
And
yeah.
that's what Saving History, like,
Yep.
you know, our organization does, is try to compile history of the people that live here.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. And do you have any questions for us?
You do a very good job.
No, you have a good newsletter, you know, and this looks pretty thorough to me too, so you do nice work. Very nice work.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
for your
coming in.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Kurt, would you like to come forward? It's incredible, isn't it, all that they do? Good morning.
Morning. We're here for a couple of reasons. Both are grant requests. The first one being the Emergency Management Performance Grant. What we're looking at is we've already been approved for the grant, or at least the first stage of it, correct, Kurt?
Yeah.
And what we're looking at trying to purchase would be an incident command trailer. They're relatively low cost compared to like you see some of these motorhome type things and stuff like that. We don't have a need or an interest in anything like that. This would just simply be a trailer, an enclosed trailer that we could modify and set up to meet our needs if we needed it at the scene of a weather-related disaster or something like that. It's a trailer, so it can be situated to a variety of different locations. The main goal of it would be is for incident management or emergency management, and it would serve as a field communication center, so we could free up our PSAP dispatch center at the sheriff's office and just do local communications at the scene. It would be used to store and distribute immediate resources such as food and water, first aid supplies, emergency lighting, again with communications, portable radio station, charging systems, and types of things like that. If it's that type of a disaster that we're going to need to implement the incident command trailer, obviously we're going to have multiple agencies involved between law enforcement, EMS, might be pollution control, might be a lot of federal agencies. This would be one central location that we can kind of run the incident out of. So I'll let Kurt take care of the grant talk.
Just brief history, this is a grant that we apply for annually. We've done this for several years. The application process has been submitted. We've been awarded $18,669. It's a match grant, and a portion of my salary goes towards the soft match, so in other words, it's not gonna, we don't have to come up with any extra money. So the trailer that the sheriff's indicating would be 100% paid out of that $18,669. So what I need is board approval with signatures on the grant application so we can submit it in. And once Homeland Security Minnesota signs it, we're good to go on it.
Other counties have these?
I'm sorry?
Do other counties have these?
Every county in the state of Minnesota applies for this EMPG grant annually.
Yeah.
A lot of those counties use it towards salary, help supplement the salary for their emergency managers. We're not set up on our budget system for that, but it's something that could be addressed in the future.
Yeah.
So basically, it limits us to equipment. We have to use it for equipment to enhance emergency management performance throughout the county.
So then where do you store this trailer?
It'll get stored either here at the sheriff's office or at our shed at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
It can also be used to store our ATV that we use for search and rescue operations.
Okay, so you
Oh, it's
you
really a
don't have it.
cargo
Is it like
trailer?
just an enclosed trailer, kind
It's
of?
an 18-foot cargo trailer.
Sure.
It'll be equipped with lights, generator,
Yep.
air conditioning, heat, so it can be used 12 months out of the year. So, and as he indicated, it's a mobile incident command. I mean, it's a place where the commanders can get together and formulate a plan on whatever the event might be, and it's something that we probably could have used for the last several years with the train derailments such as, So, I mean, it's a multiple use vehicle.
And we've never had one, so I think if we were to acquire one, I think we'd find more uses for it than what we even imagine now.
Do we have a motion to go ahead with this grant request?
I guess I'd move to approve. I can see that, as long as it's paid for via grant funds. It's new to me. I'm a little,
Do other counties have this?
Other counties, yeah, a lot of counties have this type of vehicle, most of them have mobile command vehicles with, either a camper or motorhome, something to that effect. This is just a lower cost version of that there's no motor to worry about, there's no transmissions to maintain and replace.
And I'm assuming you like pull it with your SUV, Kurt, or how's that?
Yeah.
It could be handled with my SUV. We have one Tahoe, a
Sure.
couple other SUVs. Do you have any of those oil absorbent things in that? Would that be part of that trailer? Probably not. That would be more first response, such as a fire department or somebody. That's not. I know you couldn't have enough to contain. This is basically a mobile command. It's as far as resources and stuff like such as you're talking about. If the fire departments don't have them, we can bring in outside resources for that. Typically, your railroads will have those on hand. So, no, it'd be more to haul our SUV around, to use it out, say, for instance, the fairground. We could set up out at the fairgrounds and use it there. We could set it up at Eitzen at the Family Fun Fest and use it as a point of contact for first aid. Place for the officers to go to get cooled off, get a drink of water. If we have to arrest somebody, we can maybe use it for that temporarily to get them out of the public view, until we can arrange transportation. So, it's multi-uses that we can use it for. But it's not, to answer your question, not so much to haul resources. It's more used for mobile command.
That'd be a secondary use of it. The most important or the primary use in my mind is that it would serve as a mobile communication center. We can outfit it with a mobile radio. Like I said, then we go to an ops channel or whatever frequency we decide to go with, and then that frees up our main PSAP so that the rest of the county can still function.
I will second Steve's motion, and I guess I feel the same way Steve does. I'm not 100% familiar with it, but obviously it's grant funded, and our experience with trailers, they don't lose their value too much, they don't depreciate too much. If we ever did need to sell it later, it's not going to be a big deal. So anyways, I will second.
I think it would have a long lifespan.
I think so too. I think you can find some uses for it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And Shara, I have 2 grants that will need to be signed. They'll need to be returned so I can send them out. So I'll
Sounds good.
Is there anything else that you need to bring before us?
The next request is we'd like authorization to move forward with a memo of agreement with the IPAWS, it's called. It's a, you're going to have to help me out with that.
Integrated Public Alert Warning System.
There we go. It's something similar to like Code Red. It works in conjunction with Code Red. This one, there's a multitude of different avenues that alerts can be put out, national weather, cell phones, landlines, kind of like Code Red. But like I said, it works in conjunction with this. This is something that was developed by the federal government, FEMA. It's more timely. The big benefit to it is that when you have it set up with cell phones, you take your map and you locate your geographical area that you want to have the alert sent out to. If someone drives into that area with their cell phone, they might be from New York City, but if they drive into our area, they'll automatically get that alert.
As long as they've got it, the app
As long
on
as
their
they've
phone.
got
Right.
their phone set up for it. Correct.
Now, is this going to be weather-related stuff too, or is this more like, because Code Red does also like children, like
Missing
kids,
yes, this
and
will
weather
do
alerts
Amber
and stuff, right?
This will do weather-related emergencies. Pretty much any type of emergency you need to get out. It also is the way the president would use this system to get some type of message out to the entire nation at one time through his emergency declaration. It's the same system. It's developed for that purpose. It's that the state and local governments can basically jump on. There is a cost to it. It's $2,500 buy-in basically, which is grant reimbursable through the Southeast Minnesota Region 1 grant. And then there is a $1,000 or $1,200 a year maintenance agreement with it, which can be financed through the E911 funds.
But you have to have an app to have it work on your phone.
Yes, so you need to have a newer version or a smartphone to have that work.
Do you know if that app's gonna be free?
I don't know.
They are free.
They are.
Yeah. This is a federal system, so it's basically going to go to your cell phone. You don't need an app for that. I don't know, maybe some of you have gotten like an Amber Alert, maybe come over your
Oh, yeah.
telephone.
Yeah, I have.
That's the iPod system going out. So it's a federal system, the state of Minnesota is currently on it, so when we do an Amber Alert in Minnesota and you get that tone or alert, that's where it's coming from, is the iPods. Compared to our Code Red, we can only alert people that are registered on our Code Red system through our 911 data system and those folks that go on and register their cell phones and things. So if we have an incident, say at the Eitzen Family Fun Fest, a tornado warning or something, and we send out that alert, only our local folks are gonna get it that are registered on that system. If we can go in conjunction with iPaws, everybody will get it, whether they're from this area or not.
So you're gonna keep the code red though?
Pardon me?
Yeah,
We
you'll
have to
keep the
keep the
code
Code
red,
Red because it works in conjunction with Code Red.
Oh, they,
That's
okay, it's tied to
Exactly.
it.
But there's different avenues with iPods. We can do a National Weather Service alert. We can go into EAS, which is the Emergency Action Service. It's the ones that scroll on the bottom of your television sets. National Weather Service can put it out over the weather alert radios. It's social media. It'll go out over social media. So there's 5 different angles that we can fire out alerts. There's codes that we have to enter to do that, and then the system puts it out on which alert they want it to go to. So, I mean, there's a lot of, it's something that I don't see us using very often, but it's available to people. If we do have a significant event and we have Houston Hoedown, where we have a lot of out-of-town people in the area, we can alert everybody instead of just a selected few. So for the costs, such as the sheriff indicated, it's 100% reimbursable through our southeast region on the initial $2,500 startup. And then it's a $1,200 yearly maintenance. However, I see that number going down because the more counties we get on board, the less the cost goes down. So it could be as less as $1,000 next year or lower.
At our joint board of emergency radio, they've talked about this, and it's been all positive feedback on it too.
And our Code Red system software is one of the 3 providers that allows iPods to come in on it. So
So you said it's an initial 2,500, correct? That's
that's the
reimbursable by the
initial
grant?
startup fee,
And
but
then
that
it's-
is 100% reimbursable through our regional grant. So I'll get that back. We pay it up front. We file for reimbursement.
Yep, and then it's, you said 1,200 a year? Or what'd you say it was?
Annually, after that, once we're up and running, then it's $1,200 a year maintenance.
Oh, okay. And that's obviously E911 funds.
They can reimburse it because it's part of the reverse 911 system.
And we've got, Dan's got enough money in that E911, we're not,
I've talked to Dan and cleared that through Dan.
okay. So you just need a motion to,
I need a motion to move forward with the application process for a memo of understanding agreement.
did you get that, Michelle? Because that'll be my motion, what Kurt just said.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? You guys will link it then the same way. You can go to the webpage and eventually be able to follow through on getting it on your phone, like you can the Code Red? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Kurt, when that gets going up, is there a way to put that in the paper so people know?
Yes, we'll put out a notice on it.
And it'll go on our Facebook.
Yeah, once we're up and going with it. Yeah, I think the turnaround time with FEMA, because this has got to go to FEMA.
Sure.
They review it, they send out the MOAs. We'll probably have to come back and have you sign, and then we're good to go. So.
Yeah, great.
And I don't know exactly the 2,500 on the maintenance. I don't know exactly what's all involved in that yet, but. So. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Courtney Berge, EDA, would you like to come forward?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Courtney, quick question for you.
Yeah,
Last name, is it Bergie or Burgie?
it's Virgie.
Burgie.
Yep.
So you're related to Burgie's like by the Mabel area?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
Yep. Yep. My dad grew up in rural Maple, and
Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a local gal, but good morning. I wanted to give you a quick update on what I've been busy with this month. I've had a lot of businesses who want to meet with me just about different things. I've actually had a couple people walk into my office and find me there, which has been really great, and it tells me that people they know about the EDA and they know about some of the services that we offer. And I've been really trying to make good connections with some of the folks in the different communities in Houston County, like city administrators, chamber directors, city council members, so that they can pass on what we have to offer. And so I have a few businesses, a few prospects who are interested in maybe starting new businesses. Nothing totally, complete yet as far as their plan, but I've been able to coach them a little bit on what we can offer as far as gap financing or helping them towards different programs at the state level. So that's been really great, and I've made a lot of good connections with that. So that's probably the biggest focus that I've had over the past couple of months, is just wanting to meet as many people as possible and get the word out there about what we do. And I've also had the opportunity to attend a few gatherings that have helped also network at more of a statewide level too. I attended with Commissioner Storley the Southern Minnesota Tourism Association meeting a couple weeks ago, and that was really great, and just networking with folks who are in the tourism industry and just kind of seeing what's going on around the state. I know the Houston County Commissioners, you support that organization annually, and so it was really good to see all the resources that they have to offer, and it tied in really well with this meeting that we had last week that I'm going to tell you about in a quick minute. And then I also attended, I was invited by the state director of the USDA, Colleen Landcamer. She's an old friend of mine from my previous work, and she invited me to this conference called Next Generation, and it's about empowering young leaders in rural communities to help get some more experience and connections for them. And so I was really honored to be invited by her, and made a lot of good connections there that can help with some resources like the Southeast Minnesota Regional Sustainable Development Partnerships. It's a lot of big words. But Erin Myers, the director of that, and she's at the U of M Extension office in Rochester. And so I'm meeting with her next week to kind of talk about what she can do to help us with more regional development in partnerships, because I know that that's one thing that our area is different than a lot of other parts in the state. We don't have a regional development commission. So that I'm really looking forward to learning more about her work too. And one other thing I wanted to quickly mention before I launch into this tourism recap is I recently found a letter in my desk that said we have been designated as a regional designation, regional significant park trail by the Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission. And that's something that you are all aware of, right? That has come before you before, because that application was done in 2015, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I got on the phone with them and called and said, I found this letter. This is a really, cool opportunity. Can you tell me more about it? And I learned that, and maybe you all know this, but what I learned is that the next step for us would be to create a master plan and submit it to them before we can apply for funding. But because we had a high ranking, that she basically said, you have a really good chance of getting funding for your project, and it looks like the project is a regional trails project. This is all sounding familiar to you all? Okay. So I guess I'm just looking for any advice or insight on that project, and if you have any people that I should connect with to look at that.
Did Terry Erickson mention at all to you about that?
He did not, no, but I see that he's listed as one of the partners as well as other EDAs around, so.
Right. And then I had talked with Mr. Waller from La Crescent, and maybe if you connect with him, you get more ideas too, because there's a lot of different things out there, but we haven't had the manpower to get it off the ground. But it connects to a lot of other stuff that we're encouraging to happen in our county.
Right. So I'm going to just continue looking into that and investigating that a little bit more, and I'll talk with those folks listed on there. And I built a good relationship with the executive director. She's been helping me get my password to get into the system. So she's on my speed dial now. But okay, well that's good to hear, and I'll just continue looking into that a little more.
Okay.
So lastly, I just wanted to give you an overview of our regional tourism discussion. This is kind of what I've been mostly busy with this month, is getting connected with folks in the, small businesses, city administrators, tourism professionals, chamber directors, nonprofit administrators in the county. And we advertised and held a meeting in Hopewell last Thursday, just as a brainstorming, just to get together and kind of have a networking opportunity for these folks and for me to listen to what they're saying. What are the obstacles they're facing, what are the challenges they're facing, and then from there look at how the county and the EDA can work to kind of help them reach their goals. And one of the major things that I realized when I was there is that they rarely have an opportunity to come together. And having the whole county be represented was a really, really cool opportunity. And everyone said, let's keep meeting, let's get together. They wanted to hear what was going on in each other's communities. They said often they have a hard time knowing, what's even available. A gal from Houston said she had never even been to Spring Grove, so there's all these different things that I think we can try to do as a county to encourage more of that collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I'm really excited about. And I did prepare a report just of my findings. The first page is just kind of a summary, what I got out of the meeting. The two major needs that I identified were we need to start providing more one-on-one individualized coaching to small businesses. I'm trained through the Small Business Development Center as a coach, and so I made that known at the meeting and I sent it out to the folks after. I sent this report to everyone who attended, plus some other folks who had been interested too. So just providing more of that one-on-one support. I heard things like, I know we need to be on social media, but I have no idea how to even go about starting that. So that's something that maybe we could organize a training or get them hooked up with other professionals. And then another thing was, like I said, just to facilitate more of that regional collaboration and communication. And I think there's a lot of good opportunities for that. So we made a plan to meet sometime in the fall, and we decided it'd be fun to go to different communities and maybe do a familiarization tour. So everyone who goes, we'll have this next meeting in Spring Grove. Giants of the Earth said that they would host it, and then we're going to do a short familiarization tour. So the gal from Houston who hadn't been to Spring Grove will get to go to maybe Spring Grove Pop Factory and see all the different things and be able to refer people, because as we know, I think having a regional presence is going to be really important for tourism, because folks aren't just going to come to Caledonia and stay in Caledonia for a week, right? They're going to want to go down to Brownsville, they're going to go and spend a day at the Owl Center. So I think that just knowing what's going on is really important. So I can pass this out. Shari, did you want me to pass this out now, or should I have it for, okay. So the first page, like I said, is just my findings, and then the last two pages are notes that were taken directly at the meeting. So, and I have copies available for anyone who would like to see them, but really I think it was really interesting to hear what people...
We have two more press sitting in the back of the room, too.
We can share. Thank you.
So
when is your next meeting, Courtney? When do you hope to have it?
We are looking at a Thursday morning in late September or early October. We haven't decided quite yet, but that's kind of the time frame. Looking at maybe quarterly, depending on what our next meeting feels like. So.
And just the people who came to this meeting are going out and talking to other people about it too, so it's already growing.
Yeah. There's a lot of good kind of networks that are forming. So. Yeah. So, are there any questions about this or about the work or anything?
Well, sounds like you're doing a very good job.
So, Courtney, I got a really quick question. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off, Teresa. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Real quick, you said off highway vehicle trail. Are you dealing with anything as far as Houston goes with the trails in there? That's still
No, I have met with their city administrator and Tony on our EDA, and they've just kind of briefed me on it, but I haven't been working with them anymore on that.
I just had somebody the other day ask me if that was still a go, and I said I haven't heard anything from the city or anything, and I thought maybe the EDA would know.
Yeah, on their website it says that it's in progress, but yeah, I'll look into that a little more to see where they're at, because I mean it was brought up at the meeting from folks from Houston to say that was something that they're advertising and talking about, so I would assume it's kind of moving forward, but yeah.
It's just a really slow process.
I'm sure, yeah, for regulations and things. So. Good. Okay.
And Courtney, you did an outstanding job at the tourism meeting.
Thank you, Judy.
It was very good.
It was fun. That's my favorite part, is being able to talk with folks. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kruger, would you like to come forward?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. Good
We
morning.
have a very brief agenda this morning, but an important one yet. I'll start with highway, so I'll take them out of order just a little bit so that we can consolidate our efforts and discussion for public health and human services. The highway department, and I met with the county engineer, and we are very pleased to be recommending the approval of a change of employment status for Charles Ingram, who's a highway maintenance specialist, from probationary to regular. This would be effective July 27th, tomorrow, 2016. And like I said, the highway engineer is wholeheartedly behind this recommendation. And
We
So
had
do-
discussion, a little discussion this morning at committee, and I would move to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, motion carries. Charles Ingram goes from probationary to permanent, is that it?
Regular.
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 Yeah.
Probationary to regular.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
we aren't permanent here, but we are regular.
Okay, we passed that one, so we're
Okay.
good.
And the human services one is a point of information, just for clarification of the record. We have a 67-day, just for background, we have 67-day employees. We have some who are also seasonal and fixed term. And we needed to clarify this position for Judy Hogstead, who's been working as a 67-day temporary case aide in the Human Services Department. At the time of hire, this should have been noted that this is for a fixed period ending no later than September 19th, 2016. The reason this is important for clarification is because it impacts our reporting and accountability and liability for PERA, et cetera. And she is, I believe Ms. Hogstead is well aware of this date and has been planning for that. So we just wanted that clarification in the record. Next, though, for public health, as you know, we had a successful competitive search for our extension office, and our successful candidate was transferred from public health over to the extension services. This person will go back and assist with some of the weekdays for the month of August, but we are working through all that between the two departments. However, this leaves us with what do we do with some of those duties that were performed by this individual, and do you want to just talk about that?
Yep. You know, I think every time that we have a position that opens, it's an opportunity once again to kind of look internally and reflect and kind of see out a year to two really what our needs are. And I think at this time, and you know, we've had conversations before about, you know, what we're anticipating and looking at as far as home care. And certainly that is something that we, you know, it's premature to come and say that, you know, we have a recommendation yet, but, you know, this likely would be a position that would be impacted if we no longer decide, you know, to continue on with home care. Having said that, it certainly does squeeze us some with regards to capacity. We can, the main functions, particularly in this position, have been scheduling of home health aides. We think that we can absorb that and have visited with staff about that. But the WIC portion of that position, the WIC clerk on those WIC days, is just not something that we can figure out how to do that with current staffing levels. Ideally, it would be great to find perhaps a WIC stay-at-home mom that would be willing to pick up some, you know, a few hours here and there. This is what we're proposing is really to replace this .8 with a .12.
No,
.2125.
.2125. So there is a reduction in some wage savings.
I was trying to figure out how in the world you come up with
I know,
0.2, and then I was like,
know.
oh, it's
I know.
8.5 out of 40. Okay, I get it. So.
Well, essentially, it ends up to be, what do we say, 12 hours? 12 hours a week for 3 weeks of the month.
Oh, okay.
And those, that reflects our WIC clinic days and some prep time for that. So that's ideally what we'd like to really give it a try and see if we can do that with our current staffing. It is a squeeze. I won't say that it isn't. It's going to take a little reconfiguration of our account clerks, and but you know, we really want to give it a try rather than just come and replace that position and then have to look at it down the road and think, shouldn't have done that. So for now, we would like to go this route, and I think really for WIC, as far as WIC is concerned, if we could find somebody that is familiar with WIC, it would be a win for everybody. So that's really what we're asking.
Yes, Commissioner Zaneski, you normally will not see this coming forth like this. However, this is a reflection of the actual days that are needed per month on an annualized basis. And so at first had .2. Well, that was what I met with Finance Director, and she clarified the .2125. So with that, I really appreciate the work that and the forward thinking that Director Marshall has given this, and that we're working through this right now. So with that, we would request approval to go forth. Please note that in this request, we're looking at the current position is a B22. I'm not certain it's going to stay B22. Even though we're requesting permission to go forth and fill this, we're in the process of reviewing the job description, and this will have to be resubmitted for classification verification. So with that in mind as a condition.
That kind of depends too on qualifications. Is that, or not necessarily? Like if somebody
It's
came
not
in
the
with
qualifications that our positions are classified on,
it's
although
the work that they
it
perform.
is the actual authority, autonomy, level of impact on the, as far as liability exposure. There's several things that are where they are in the hierarchy in the county, program management versus supervision. There are several factors, which then, of course, yes, impact what kind of qualifications do you have to bring to the table for that. But it's more the work that drives it.
So you just need a motion to approve the search, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'll move to approve the search for public health clerical at .2125 FTE.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Do we need to have in there anything that says that it also includes that search you were talking about, or the possibility that it could come back? I mean, is that just going to be an understanding that I want to make sure that when you come back, if this doesn't work, that we have something on record that says that if it doesn't work out and they need to add more, that we're going to work with that?
I think the minutes of the meeting would be sufficient for our purposes. I don't know that, and I appreciate your concerns, Commissioner Storley. I do think that any of our positions, whether they are probationary, regular, or otherwise, are always open for review, for reconsideration. It's just kind of a given whether that reconsideration is something to remove them or to add additional FTE. So
the reason I wanted to make sure that we talked about it is because if other people, you know, are replacing and willing to try it at a lower level, that if it didn't work, you know, we're kind of setting our standards that we will, you know, work with them if they need more. But to encourage people to, if they can, downsize any.
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
Okay. All right.
And I'll be happy to remind you.
Okay. No problem. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good point.
Yeah. I would just wanted to just bring up one point about the 67-day employee and kind of our needs, particularly in human services. We do have a meeting schedule, I believe it's the end of next week with the workforce development folks, and really to look to see how we can tap more into that supported work. Boy, and again, in my previous years, we used supported work folks a lot to help. And it's a really great deal. I mean, it's a training ground. It's an opportunity to really work with folks, to entry-level folks, and it really assists in some of these areas where we're perhaps really short. So
Supported work, can you define, like? so we
supported
know?
work would be oftentimes, at least from my recollection, I have to dust off the cobwebs, but it really is MFIP, our TANF folks, Minnesota's federal implementation of the MFIP, Minnesota Investment Program, and it's those participants that have to find work, and it's that work readiness piece. And we really have, they are looking for employment, looking for training opportunities. We do have a contract, a host county contract with the workforce development people, and it's a resource that I think perhaps is maybe not tapped into as well as it could be, and a relationship that really could be developed. It's a really neat opportunity. So we're going to be having more conversation with them next week to see how we can perhaps work together more.
Great. Thank you.
Even in other departments beyond human
Absolutely.
services.
Absolutely.
So we've had that discussion as well with HR.
Is there anything else?
I was just going to say,
Okay.
talk about.
Can I bring up something first?
Yeah, then I got one thing after you real quick.
Okay. Tess got a very big award a week ago or so, and she'd never tell us about it if we hadn't found out a little bit on it on our own. But it was a award through Southern. Tell me the.
Southeast, the statewide Association of Service cooperatives, excuse me, you caught me off guard. Service cooperatives. So Southeast Service Cooperative put my name forth for this award, and I received it.
And so as a board, I thought that we should congratulate her, and if anybody wants to stop by her office, there's a whole thing about her award, and it's pretty impressive, and it deserves attention, so thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was quite honored to receive it, and I appreciated that coming from those colleagues there. Thank you, Commissioner Swirl.
Justin, did you have?
Oh, totally off subject. Highway Department hiring, do you know when that is set to?
I met with Engineer Pogozinski, and we've determined that we need to re-advertise at this time and extend our efforts. However, we are going to hold off on advertising for just a little bit because folks are in the neck deep, if you will, in construction right now, and we would like to give a little time for the peak of that season to pass. So we expect to be re-advertising and going forward on the second or third week of August. And we'll see where that brings us. We had a few applicants, we interviewed a few folks, and we determined at this time we need to keep those efforts going forward.
Okay.
Maybe we need to also bring up the, our number 4 discussion item
Right,
at this
yeah,
time.
that's what I was going to bring forward. If we could talk about that, I gave each of the commissioners a copy of the letter with the information so that we would know it, but if you would like to go through this with everyone.
Okay, and just real quickly before I forget, once I get started on that, just so you know, tomorrow we have a children's youth group going through the jail. We were called up and asked if we would provide a tour, if you will, of the facilities for a summer camp program. Children that attend that.
New jail or old jail?
Old jail.
Okay.
No, I thank you for that. I wouldn't be the one bringing that forward. That would be the sheriff if he were to do that. The historic jail. Thank you, Commissioner. And we have any one of the following people, if not all 3, will be there. We're finalizing that today to assist with this and tell the stories. Mrs. Laurel Russert, you know, who used to spend her childhood growing up there. Dwayne St. Mary, whom you heard from this morning, as well as Gary Lovers. So I'm not sure which of the three, if not all three, are going to show up and tell stories and work with these kids and walk them through the facilities. But we'll be doing that at 1 o'clock tomorrow for about an hour. Additionally, just an update on the grant. The grant, we received feedback on our pre-app application from the Minnesota Historical Society. It was good feedback. I was very happy with what we heard as far as the critique of it. And I'm working with, have already met once and exchanged a few emails, and we'll be finalizing the final application this week with our work with Preservation Alliance. The application's actually due the
29th.
The 29th. But we believe we'll have it all in final format this week, a week early. So there you are. And I will bring that for a copy of that forward to the board as soon as we are done with it. But one of the things we were very pleased about is that they did not make the recommendation to split the application because part of the application is for drawings for this facility, for some of the restoration work we are looking towards, as well as the funding for the reuse study, the economic expert and the I guess there's an architectural expert that's required for that study too, for those drawings. So it's going together as a package, and so we were pleased about that. Now to address the opportunity that came to our attention late last week. Last Friday I spoke with a, I don't have the printout that or the email.
Oh, did you
I
want
sent
this?
but last week I spoke with a man by the name of Sam Spafford. Sam Spafford is a producer, if you will. I understand he's working right now for an organization called Rhymsayer, which is a music production company out of the Twin Cities. And one of their clients, if you will, is a group known as Atmosphere, and they are looking for a site to do a video production for their next soon-to-be released song, Seismic Waves. This company is very dedicated to doing business in Minnesota and was really looking for facilities in Minnesota and to spend their dollars in Minnesota. I guess there were opportunities in some of the neighboring communities, either in Wisconsin or in Iowa, but they determined, no, they want to try to find a jail facility, if you will, that they could look at. So they became aware of our historic jail through the efforts of our foreman, and said you might want to come down and look at this. And so I started talking with Sam Friday. Basically, they are looking for to send a crew of 30 professionals down. Not all 30 would be at the jail. Half would be staged off-site, half staged on-site. They haven't determined this facility is exactly what they want. They, pending your action today, they will come down and take a look next week. But they'd like to film the second or third week of, I guess the week of the 15th of August, if they approve it. The film is about the prisons of one's mind, and it would be a female cast. The band is a male duo, and the actors would be women that would be in this jail cell, the prisons of, I guess, technology. I guess your nose stuck in your phone all the time, those kinds of things, is the way it was described to me. I did press that we wouldn't be, although didn't want to get in any First Amendment issues, but I really pressed to make sure that we aren't talking about violence type videos, because I said that wouldn't be something we would be wanting to be partnering with. And there's a lot of music out there that has violent content. And so, no, it isn't anything remotely related to that. They would be willing to pay tentatively, we talked about, of course, we don't have a license agreement, but $500 per day for 2 to likely 3 days. So it'd be $1,500 with a small rental fee for some of the things such as work with the jail and getting some female jumpsuits. Also the big keys and things like that. They would be hiring a fireman, since the building is not sprinkled, somebody by local fire experience to be there during their hours of operation. They would work with us on making sure the public stayed out of the building, and of course they have financial interest in making sure that occurs. They have custom-made cameras, very expensive equipment. They would want to have all their lodging in Minnesota, in this county if possible, and all of the food and catering done locally for 30 people, approximately 30 people for 3 days. And so with that in mind, I'll take questions if you have them. Otherwise, this is a very short turnaround for us, extremely short turnaround. I would be asking your permission today to, with working with County Attorney's Office, move forward with drafting and then fully executing a license agreement with this organization. And because you're not going to be in session next week, be asked.
Isn't it? We have the 9th off, right?
Yeah.
So we still have the 2nd.
We have a
right?
meeting
You're
actually.
correct.
Yeah, so we've got one next week, but it's the following week. I thought that same
That is
thing until
correct.
about 2 hours ago when I was looking, and I'm like, ooh, we do have a meeting.
I think I will still ask for this because by the time we have the visit next week
Yep.
with the gentleman and he says, yes, it's a facility for us, there would not be the turnaround time to come back to the board.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, thank you, Commissioner. So that's the motion I'm looking is, and I have met briefly with County Attorney Yacht, and neither one of us are strangers to license agreements. I think we can put one together and that would be to the benefit of both parties, and all liability would be obviously included. I've had that preliminary discussion with them, and they're more than adequately insured, and we'd have documentation for that.
Utilities that they're going to use for lighting and stuff, are they hooking into our utilities or are they providing themselves, do you know?
They would be hooking into, we have to see how that's gonna go. They likely would be hooking into ours for some, if not all, but I know they talked about bringing a generator with them.
Oh, sure.
I know they'd want surge protection and all. I mean, this is a pretty polished group, so it would be an inclusive fee though,
Yep.
just so you understand that.
We'd get some kind of credit, I would assume,
I'm sure in the,
you know?
the credits.
We would like to think in the credits,
Oh, in the credits?
credit side of it, yeah. Hopefully it shows Houston County in a good light. I'd like to see. If this thing became horrifically popular, could we get royalties?
I don't think that's part of the deal. But we may have, the exposure sure doesn't hurt us.
Not at all.
That is for sure, especially
That's
in
right.
light of the fact that we are looking to increase our tourism footprint, if you will,
Mhm.
and exposure there. And maybe some of these people that are coming down,
You just never
who
know, they
knows-
might
who
like
knows
the
how word of
area.
mouth goes. And not to mention, although it'd be on a scale of things, maybe a small economic impact, it would still be a nice economic impact
Mhm.
for this community, a nice boost, because that's a lot of folks to feed for 3 days.
Mhm.
So do we have a motion to move forward with this?
I certainly make that a motion.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
I'll second it. I'll put the
Any
lights up.
further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioners, for your flexibility on bringing this forward in a short time period. I appreciate it.
Okay, could we place on file the consent agenda, the correspondence to payroll regarding recent hires and changes?
I'll make a motion to put the consent agenda on file.
Is there a
I'll second
second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And last week you didn't have the highway meeting, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Did you?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you were having it right
Well, we were
after
going
hours.
to, and then it got canceled, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. That's too bad.
Today,
Yep,
you able?
yep, give me about a half an hour after this meeting, and then I'll be over there.
Okay.
All right, what if we approve claims, human services, and license center disbursements? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve claims.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And did you all read the information in your packet about the emergency election plan?
Mhm.
Yep.
Are you ready to move forward with approving that?
I'll
I
make a
moved.
motion to approve the emergency election plan.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I thought it was very well done.
Mhm.
Yep.
Very well done.
Good job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we need to appoint 2 commissioners to the county canvassing board, and that would be 2 that aren't up for election, correct?
2 that are not on the ballot. So anyone but Steve.
Oh, for the,
Judy?
For the primary.
Oh, for
Judy's
the
not on the
primary.
Oh,
Okay.
she's the
Okay.
primary election?
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right.
She's not on the primary ballot. So
So we don't need that for the main election, though?
we'll have,
We'll
we'll
do
do
that.
have 2 new people
do
for
it,
that
yeah.
one. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, would anyone like to volunteer to be on the county canvassing board?
I will.
Okay, Dana?
Sure, why not?
Dana and Justin.
We just gotta come here to
It's
verify?
Friday, August 12th at 10 a.m. right here.
Hold on, let me put that in here. Friday, August 12th at 10.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, and we already covered number 4, so how about commissioner reports and comments? Commissioner Chomey?
Yes, the only thing we had last week was I attended the Farm Bureau Conservation Tour, and it was last Friday. It was an all-day event. It was very informative, and I really enjoyed it. I'd like to thank the Farm Bureau for putting that on for us, and other dignitaries. I learned a lot,
Yep.
but it was kind of warm.
That it was.
Stifling.
That's all I had last.
I had Wildcat Park meeting on Thursday, and we toured the brand-new bathrooms and showers. They're very nice, and we got a lot of good comments coming on it. And now we're in the process of putting in the electricity and water lines to the new campsites and ones that needed upgrading also. And we're also going out to get quotes for doing the other bathroom on the south end. We need to put in bathrooms there. So we're still in process. We'll have the whole committee come when we're ready to move forward on it.
That
But-
south one, are you looking at that this year, or is that a coming
Probably
year?
not
Well-
till next year.
Well, we
but
talked
did-
about it though, and
Mhm.
we had talked about doing all the groundwork for it this fall yet. So
Mhm.
it's ready to place the
Full site
building.
prep.
So
Yeah,
that we
site
can have
prep,
it by
so-
next Memorial Weekend.
So we don't
basically.
get delayed like we did this year where it wasn't open for Memorial
Mhm.
Day and.
I took a cruise through here, oh, it must be a month ago, but it's gorgeous. Nice
It's
place.
beautiful down there.
Really nice place.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
And then I did do the soil and water tour, and like Dina says, it was very informative. I thought the way they were planting the cedar trees along flooded banks of rivers, and that was the Riceford Creek, I believe, that we saw. The only thing that was worrisome is rattlesnake territory down there. But, yeah, there was a lot of very information, and going on a tour of the Shooting Star, that was amazing what a good business they do, and seeing all the flower fields. And then the farm operation was also, that was actually our cooler spot, because we went in the barn where the fans were going. 1,125 cows they milk, something like that. So, Oh, it was a good tour.
Just went to the first half of the tour, and then we have a department head meeting today, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And I missed the tour, and I had no other meetings.
Last week, when I gave my report, I forgot to talk about the joint Board of Emergency Radio meeting that I was at on Monday, and they approved the grant for the towers, or not the, for the radio, moving it to
yeah.
the, so we did get that grant, so it'll
Good.
pay for half of it. And then Thursday, I had Wildcat, and I mean, it's exciting because, for me, one of the most exciting things is it's working towards a place for families. And we're gonna put in more speed bumps to slow traffic down there as they're coming in, so that it will, be, a lot friendlier, because traffic comes in kind of fast. And then I had the regional tourism meeting that Courtney had talked about, which was really interesting, and it's great to hear people excited about this, and the economic benefits that the tourism could have for Houston County is incredible when you look at all the numbers and stuff that are going on. So the more that we can work with that, I think the better. And then Friday I did the Bluff Country tourism thing, and I really enjoyed the Shooting Star. It's amazing that you drive past that place and you have no idea how much business and what's going on in it too. So that was very interesting. The cedar tree thing, that wasn't just the rattlesnakes, it was also that
Wild parsnip.
Wild parsnip.
Yeah, that was growing, so we got to see firsthand what that was and stayed away. And it was really a warm day, and when we were at the Johnsons, the reason we got to go to the barn is first we had to stand in a dip in the road that was so hot it felt like standing in an oven, as we learned about the water coming off the fields and how they test it and everything, and that was really good. And then the soil and water people put on their demonstration for the different kinds of soil, and that was interesting too. And all the food all day was really good, and the people there were so friendly, and we're glad that people had come out to find out about all of this. So it was a long, hot day, but it was worth going out for. And that's all I had.
Chairman Starling.
Yes.
I just, looking at my calendar, I realized that the 12th of August, I will not be in the area that night. So I'll have to
Okay.
remove myself from that.
Okay.
I will not.
Is there anyone else that will be in the area on the 12th?
I could make it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because I know
That's
I'm
up
not
here,
going to be in the
Char,
area
in your
either.
office type idea?
Pardon me?
Where do we meet?
Right here, 10 a.m.
And is there anything else to come before the board? Oh, one other thing while we're talking about reports in law this morning. We were talking about we're going to be experiencing some medical expenses for someone who's in the jail, just so that you're all aware of it. Even though we have this really good MEND program, if someone goes in the hospital, we can be stuck with the bill. So we have a sizable bill coming at us from that area. And we'll find out more, and as we do, we'll keep you updated. Anything else to come before the board?
I can think of nothing.
Okay.
I would move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.